my name is Ahmed Esrico.
Are you ready?
Two little children, a boy and a girl, live long ago with their reborn mother in the Canadian forest. The woman was very poor. Her husband had long been dead, and she had to work very hard to provide food for herself and her children.
I must go to the city. You'll be naughty, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Don't think about it. We can take care of ourselves.
Okay, that's good.
Often she had to go far from home in search of fish and game, and at times she was absent for many days.
Then she went on the and thus they were allowed to grow up with very little oversight or discipline or care. They soon became very unruly because they were so often left to have their own way. And when their mother returned for her hunting days, she frequently found that they were not taking care and that they did pretty much as they pleased.
Teachers, you have me to the floor?
No, I can't. My grandmother's.
You don't speak like this.
Why? I'm your mom. What's wrong with me?
Someday, you will suffer for your wickedness.
As they grew older, they become more headstrong and disobedient, and their mother could do very little to control them. And she said, "The mother will be angry," and just say,
Someday, you will suffer for your wickedness.
One day, the woman went to visit a neighbor not far away. He left a large pot of pure fat boiling on fire, and he said to the children,
Don't be done the pot till I am grown, because the fat may harm you if caught fire. Okay?
Oh, yeah? I don't think so, ma'am. I don't believe it.
Okay. If you don't believe me, I don't care what anything will do to me.
I don't believe it. Are you believe it?
I don't think so, but I'm okay.
Don't think like that. I was here.
Yeah.
Let us see with the practical first. What shall we do? I don't want to be blind. Help me, Mom! Ya, udah semuanya.
Wait, accept all of this. Maybe that's all the punishment for your disobedience.
their hair was burned to a crisp and their fists were scorched, and they ran from the house crying with pain. But when they reached the outer end, they found that they couldn't see, for the fire had blinded their eyes. So they stopped. When their mother came home, she tried every remedy she thought might restore their sight. But her medicine was unavailing, and she said,
So, the children lived in darkness for a long time, but they were no longer headstrong and unruly. And although they could no longer see, they were less trouble to their mother than when they had their sight, for they didn't know refuse to do her bidding.
Mother, we are sorry. Because we are so naughty.
Mother always forgive you, my dear.
Thanks, Mom. I love you.
I'm here.
Thanks, Mom.
One day, when their mother was not working in the toilet, an old woman came along and took the children from her. And then they went to the door as she stayed before the door. After she had eaten, she said,
Excuse me. I get some food. I'm so hungry. Of course, Grandma.
kahapal ini Cina emang. Cina dalam rumah. Ada lunak. This is your food, Grandma.
Thank you for your very
You're welcome, Grandma.
He was blind, but when he carried others, I think I can help you. But because I'm from the land of little people, I can give you 4 eyes, but I will give you when I say to you. But you must promise with me. You must handle with care the eyes.
Yes, Grandma. We are promised to take care of us. Thank you.
Okay.
Next, narasi next.
Then she gave them an eye which she took from her pocket and disappeared. So they used the one eye to give them, and when the boy had the eye and the girl was to see anything, she would say,
Give me the game.
This is the eye.
and when their mother came home, he was very glad to find that they had now some means. When their mother was away again, the boy went on the forest with his plow and around. He carried the eye with him. He had not gone far when he saw a young deer which he killed. The deer was too heavy for him to carry alone, so he said,
There's a deer. This is too heavy. If I carry it alone, I must go to him and carry him with me. I will go and get my sister, and we shall cut it up and put it into a basket and carry it home together. Larasnya apa?
he went home and told his sister of
the boy brought an eye to her and she made a large basket from cool twigs.
give me the eye.
So he gave him the eye and he proceeded to chop up the meat and to put it in the basket. Then he said,
Well, we can have a meal here. I'm very hungry.
His sister agreed that this was a good idea, and he said,
You cook the meal? Well, I pack the meat.
People made a fire, but she was afraid. She went from the mess, so she said, I must have the egg.
Okay.
I must have some wafer. Give me some wafer.
by this time, her brother had finished packing the bread in the basket, and he brought her the eye, and she went on with her cooking. The fire was warm, and she said,
but as she reached it, she smelled the meat burned on the spit. She shouted,
You will.
And our dinner will be spoiled. Give me the egg and nuts so that I may see if the nut is good.
the boy was so step away, and in his anger, he turned the eye to her, saying,
from a branch of a tree.
It dropped from my head, and I can't find it in the grass.
You have lied to me, and you have disappeared. I'm calling something for you.
But it does not intentional.
Shut up! Whoa! You're very improper. Yeah!
Senang banget.
as they were still searching for it, the old woman had converted into him.
Tadi.
Itu suara sihirnya teman-teman.
And the girl into a bed and said,
Now, no one will help you.
Tikus.
How? Like flying before the earth with only your sense of sound to get you.
at once, the boy and the girl were
Oh dia tuh.
Hello? Lisa and this concept. We will tell you about the Indian hotels. The title is The Bira and the Crab. He has the bira and Fauzan has the crab.
hungry. He hadn't eaten anything for the past many days. To satisfy his hunger, he thought not toil and trouble, he devised a plan. In order to accomplish his plan, he went to the side of a pond with a gloomy face and without any intention to catch any fish. The fish, frogs, and crabs thought, but he was not trying to catch any food. One big crab, on seeing the sad crab, asked him what the matter was.
Uncle, are you alright? Why aren't you getting fish today? And why are you crying?
I have decided not to work. I have been a fish eater, but now I will trust them even if they come near me. Because of the latest, as fast as the dead.
What's the reason?
Well, I was born in this world, and the disciplines that I grew up. And now, I have heard that there will be no life for the next 100 years.
Huh? Where have you heard that?
From the mouth of Ansarabay.
The crab told this to the other water creatures. All the crab, fish, tortoise got into a state of panic.
Is there no way out? Can we protect ourselves against disaster?
Well, I have found someone far away. I have a solution. If the birds are interested, I can carry you. Give its day to other animals where they will be safe.
Everyone in the lake was eager to take the help of the crab. The crab also confirmed that he required rest between trips to do his egg. Also, he would be able to carry a few fish at a time. The creatures were ready to go with the crab on his condition. In the very first trip, the crab took some fish in his beak, but instead of taking them to another pond, he took them to a nearby hill and ate them. After taking rest for some time, again when he felt hungry, he took the second trip. In this manner, the crab was getting a continuous supply of fish. Within 2 days, he regained his health and became healthy. The big crab also wanted to be saved. One day, the crab requested the crab to take him to the other pond. The crab thought it was a nice idea to try different food. He agreed to take the crab on the next trip. On the next trip, from a distance, the crab spotted a pile of balls on the rock and suddenly thought that they were all the fish had left the pond in his grave.
Ha ha ha! Fool! You think I'm your servant? There is no other banana here. I've been expecting order to be able to get out of you. And now, I want you to be very obliged. Ha ha ha!
The crab was prepared. He caught the heron between his claws and began to strangle him. The heron crashed into a rock and crab jumped down to save him. The crab gripped the heron and dragged him to the lake.
Why you never carrying him like that? You're a bunch of fools.
All the creatures of the pond thanked him for saving their lives and said that they had learned a lesson.
Yes, a victim can be truthful and one will beware of them.
Jadi kesimpulannya
Thank you for that.
ya sekarang belum style.
Mas, ini ada Arya.
Mr. Life, King, and the King.
My name is Cipta S. Narator.
My name is S. Ahmed and Serpent.
From Team Fortress.
Once upon a time, in the royal city of Isfahan, there lived a young man named Ahmed and his wife Cem. He knew no special craft or trade, but he had a shovel and a pick, and he often told his wife.
You can be good hole if you're always clean enough to sell.
That was enough for Cem, Ahmed, but this wasn't enough for Cem. One day, as she often did, Cem went to the public bath to wash herself and chat with the other woman. But at the entrance, the woman in charge told,
You can come in now. The kings of the royal diviners, the kings of the wife, the royal is taking the whole place for herself.
Cem said.
Who does she think she is? Just because her husband royal fortunes?
But all she would do was return home to meet on the wall.
Oh,
That evening, when Ahmed had heard his bed for the day, she said,
look at this fierce measly coin. I can't take this any longer. Tomorrow, you'll go in the marketplace and be a diviner.
Samuel, are you insane? What do I know about fortune telling?
You don't need to know a thing. When anyone asks you a question, you just throw the dice and mumble something that sounds like, it's either that or I go to the house of my father.
So the next day, Ahmed sold his shovel and his pick and bought the fish and the board and the rope of a fortune teller. Then he sat in the marketplace near the public bath. Hardly had the curtain settled when there ran up to him the wife of one of the king's ministers.
Diviner, you must help me. I wore my most precious ring to the patch day, and now it's missing. Please tell me what it is.
Ahmed looked and cast his eyes. As he desperately searched for something wise to say, he happened to glance up at the lady's clothes. Then he spied a small hole, and showing through the hole a bit of burning arm. Of course, this was quite improper for a respected lady. So Ahmed leaned forward and whispered archly,
Madam, I see a hole.
A what?
A hole. A hole.
Of course, a hole.
She rose back to the bed and found in the wall where she had hidden the ring for a safekeeping and forgotten it. Then she came back out to Ahmed.
God be praised. You knew right where it was.
And to Ahmed's amazement, she gave him a gold coin. That evening, when Jero saw the coin and heard the story, she said,
You see, there is nothing to it.
Proper, simple on these days, but I dare not set him on another.
Nonsense. If you want to keep your wife tomorrow, you'll be back in the marketplace.
Now it happened that on that very night, at the palace of the king, the royal treasury was robbed. 14 pairs of hands carried away 14 chests of gold and silver. The theft was reported next morning to the king.
Bring me my royal diviner and all his assistants.
But to the fortune teller, he has the and mumbled quite wisely. No one come to get the thief or the treasure.
Frauds, throw them all in prison.
Now, the king had heard about the fortune teller who had found the ring of his minister's wife. So he sent 2 guards to the marketplace to bring Ahmed, who appeared trembling before him.
Diviner, a treasury has been robbed of our chests. What can you tell me about it, please?
Ahmed talked quickly about 40 chests being carried away.
Your Majesty, I can tell you where there were 46.
Amazing! None of my own diviners knew as much. But now, you must find the thieves and the treasure.
Ahmed felt afraid.
I'll do my best immediately, but it'll take some time.
How long?
Ahmed guessed the longest he could get.
40 days, Your Majesty. 1 day, 40 days.
A long time indeed. Very well, you shall have it. If you accept, I'm to reach. If you don't, you run with the honest officer.
Back home, Ahmed told him.
You see the trouble you have caused us in 40 days, the king will lock me away.
Nonsense. Just find the chiefs like you find the ring.
I tell you, Samuel, I found nothing. That was by the grace of God, but this time there is no food.
Ahmed took some bread dates, count out 40, and placed them in the jar.
I will burn off these days each evening. That will tell me when my 40 days are done.
Now, it happened that one of the king's own servants was only one of the 40 days, and prepared the king speak with Ahmed. That same evening, he hurried to the chief meeting place and reported to the chief.
There's a thief who said he will find the treasure and the thief in 40 days.
He's bluffing, but we can't afford to take chance. Go to his house and find out what you can.
So the servant. Just then, Ahmed took the first step from the jar and ate it. He told him. The thief was so shocked, he nearly fell down the stairs. He hurried back to the meeting place and told the chief.
This thief has amazing powers. Without seeing me, you know I was on the road. I clearly heard him say, "That's one."
You must have to mention it. Tomorrow, 2 of you will go.
So the next night, the servant returned to Ahmed's room with another of the team. As they were listening, Ahmed ate the second date and sang.
That's so.
The thief nearly knocked over each other's heads. They fled the room and then back to the team. The servant told you.
You knew there were 2 of us. I simply didn't say that's 2.
It can be.
So, the next night after that, he sent 3 of the team, and the next night 4, then 5, then 6, and so it went till the 14th night. The chief said,
This time, I'll do it you myself.
so all the 14 chiefs climbed up to Ahmed's room. Inside, Ahmed gazed at the last date in the jar, then suddenly took it out and ate it.
That's 40. Remember?
Chairman sat beside him.
Ahmed, during these 40 days, I've been thinking. I was wrong to make you a definer. You are what you are, and I should not have tried to make you something else. I forgive you, Jamal, but I thought it was wrong. I should not have done what I know was not right. But none of this was right.
Just then came a loud banging at the door.
The king's son already.
He went to the door and unrolled it for him.
Alright. I know you're here.
He swung the door open. To his astonishment, he saw 40 men kneeling before him and touching their head in the crowd came at him.
Of course you know, oh great diviner, nothing can be hidden from you. But we beg you not to give us away.
Ahmed realized that this must be the thief. He thought fast and said, after the end.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. My name is Irfan.
My name is Isra.
Today our group will tell you about the Korean book. The title is The Legend of Arangjeong. Once upon a time, in a village in Korea, there was a judge and his daughter called Anna.
Jadi we will have an animal company, okay?
Terbang.
Orang dulu sakti-sakti lama. Finally, they arrived in the city. Before next, I want to tell you about Arang characteristic. Yeah, Arang was so beautiful. She has a white skin and she was so sexy. And it made so many boys interested in her. One of them is Judy. He was so interested in Arang, and he has a plan to trap Arang.
Oh, sexy! Oh yes, there's many little cameras. So I have to talk with her.
So, at the seventh day, he tried to trap Arang, but he was failed, and he felt so angry, and then he killed Arang. He killed Arang. Arang's father know about it. He with people around there had to search Arang's body, but her body did not found. So the judge back to his village. Yeah, we back to the city. In there, furors happened. When there was a new judge selection, the judge who selected will be die after that. Yeah, after his selection, they will be die. And it happened so many times.
Speakernya rusak.
Ara is a doctor from yes, she was killed by someone. People don't know who was Ara and Westburg. So I think we have to move to the and tell people about it.
Yeah, it happened so many times until one day, when there was a new judge who met a beautiful on one day.
Wah, tukang laut.
Then they met a date on tomorrow in garden.
It's so beautiful. I think I have to find yourself.
In the morning, when Arang became a butterfly, the butterfly flied into his head, and he got an interrogation.
You are killer, right?
No.
You are. Yes. Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yang dikasih tahu mayatnya. Finally, the two girls was confused.
Okay, I will tell you. I was from Ara, and the body is under the
Now, at the place where Arang found, there was a temple that built on it, and it called Arang Temple. Thank you.
My name is Mesa. When the world began, it was divided between Takamagahara, the heavens, and Ashihara no Nakatsukuni, the earth. Many gods came to be in the heavens, but the earth remained a formless, chaotic mass, much like drops of oil floating on water or jellyfish drifting aimlessly. The gods in Takamagahara is in charge Izanagi and Izanami, the first male and female pair of gods to be born, with giving the world form and creating the deities that would populate the heavens and the earth. After creating the islands called Japan, they set to creating the myriad gods. Everything went well at first. The gods of the sea, the winds, the trees, the fields, and the mountains were all born at this time. Then Izanami gave birth to god Akutsuchi, and she suffered horrible burns that caused her to fall and eventually die. Izanagi buried Izanami on Mount Biba, which is on the border of Izumo and Boki, and her spirit descended to Yomi no Kuni, the underworld. Now that Izanami was god, Izanagi means terribly. He decided to make the journey to Yomi no Kuni and bring her back. Followed the dark path to its guides, where Izanami came out to greet him.
My dear Izanami, the restoration of the world is unfinished. Come and with me, so that you may know better things begin. I will go with you.
But you're too late. I have already eaten of the food of this world, and I can no longer go with you. You came all the way here to bring me back, and I really want to go back with you. So, I will talk on the word of my glad brother. You have to wait here while we are talking, and you must not do anything.
Izanagi agreed, and for a while he waited patiently. But he finally got to a point where he could wait no longer, and bringing a tooth off the gum he had in his hair. He made a torch and found her. When he had last found her, he was shocked by her appearance. She was rotting and crawling with maggots, and hideous guts of thunder were hanging onto her body. Terrified, Izanagi decided to flee from Yomi no Kuni back to the land of the living.
I told you not to look, and then ignore me. We'll first for the shame you have to.
Izanagi ran as fast as he could, but they started to catch up with him. So threw his hairband on the ground behind him. It grew into a wild grapevine plant loaded with grapes. The hags couldn't help but stop and eat grapes, and Izanagi fled up. However, they ate more quickly than they expected, and soon was close to catching his aid. So now he broke another tooth off and threw it on the ground. Bamboo shoots grew in the spot, and once again the hags stopped to dig them up and eat them. Izanagi fled. Izanami then ordered the gods of thunder and army of spirits. As they closed in on him, Izanagi took his sword from out of its sheath and swung it around furiously behind him as he continued to run. It was no use as they continued to get closer and closer. But the entrance of the underworld, Yomotsu Hirasaka, came into view before him. Not to be discouraged, now Izanami herself came chasing after Izanagi. So he took a great boulder and rolled it in
front of the entrance of Dominum, forever separating it from the land of the living, now standing on opposite sides of the boulder. Izanami and Izanagi said their final farewells.
Izanagi, for the shame you have caused me. Every day I will kill 1,000 inhabitants of the world carelessly. If you do that, I will create 1,500 people every day.
After parting from Izanami, Izanagi bathed himself to wash away the impurities of the underworld. Many gods were created during this purification ceremony, but most importantly, as he was finishing bathing, 3 gods were born. The sun goddess Amelitas was born when he washed his left eye, and the moon deity Tsukuyomi was born when he washed his right eye, and he washed his nose. The god Susanoo was born. Izanagi was pleased with his children and gave them each of them a
Hey, Dad, look at me. Think back and talk to me. Did I grow up according to plan? And do you think I'm wasting my time doing things I wanna do? But it hurts when you disapprove all along. And now I try hard to make it. I just wanna make you proud. I'm never gonna be good enough for you. Can't pretend that I'm alright.
Terus gaya gue sih kayak sorry, Cinderella.
Too late, and we can't go back. I'm sorry, I can't be perfect. Try not to think about the pain I feel inside. Did you know you used to be my hero? All the days you spent with me now seem so far away.